Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first of the RENNSPORT community leagues. It's a bit different from the RENNSPORT community events, which have been running for a couple of weeks at this point, but it's also not far off. I'm here today with Remco. Say hello.
Hello.
And yeah, as said, it's a bit different from the RENNSPORT community events, as this is a league format with 6 races on 5 different tracks. We will show you all about the schedule later in this session, as well as all the info you need. We will run with GT3 machines, and yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about this race format.
Yes, and right now we just started the qualifying session. There are 7 drivers. There's only 1 Mercedes because everyone likes the Porsches. And as it looks like now, there's going to be only one, Eric Lathill, which is doing his first race today. Of course, we have some well-known names that are coming back from other races, like Dominic Ladler, Joachim Thunder. And of course, we have Alexander Kralin, who you can't miss that guy. But it's going to be interesting today because these are GT3 cars. GT3 cars are quite quick. Hockenheim, quite a technical circuit, with one long straight with a very tight hairpin. We will probably see a lot of overtakes there. But right now, it's first going to be qualifying, just people setting their fastest lap times, try to be in the top of the leaderboard. So probably the first laps you want to set a banker lap, because if you don't set that and you make a mistake in your next lap, it's gonna be tough. So we've got 50 minutes of qualifying. There's 13.5 minutes left. And it looks like the first drivers are getting towards the end of the outlap and are looking for a little bit of space right now to start their hot lap in free air. And the first one is going to be Dominic Ladler. He's a very quick driver, so expect him to go for that top spot. Right now we don't have the drivers like Nico Nuninghoff here, so there is a big chance that it will be someone like Dominic Ladler who is going for the top there. He's going quite wide though. Joachim Thunder also starts slap. But the first turn is going to be very difficult because the track limits here are quite simple. 2 wheels on the curb on the outside. And on the inside, 2 wheels within the white lines, which turn 1 you can probably guess is going to be quite difficult because you cannot really like hit that orange sausage curb on the inside, or you will bounce towards the outside of the very large curb. It is large, but towards the end there is a little bit of a smaller curb, and that's quite a hard cutoff. So you don't want to be out there and have an invalid lap time. Right now, it does look like they are okay. We will see towards the end of the lap if their times are going to count. Which the first guy is going to be Dominic Ladler, of course.
I'm not sure. He gave up on his lap and led by Joachim Thunder on the Parabolica. So either he, as you said previously, went a bit wide in turn 1 or just didn't feel the opening part of the lap. Maybe wasn't too happy with the tires as well. So it will take some time, I think. It's now about getting a first banker lap in and then pushing on from there.
Exactly. And right now it's gonna be Dominic Ladler who's getting to the line. And Joachim Thunder put down a lap time. Dominic Ladler has not. So I think Dominic Ladler indeed had a problem in the first turn with track limits because I saw him go a little bit wide there. But for now, things are quite, we know who is going. Joachim Thunder has Colruyt with him right now, only 1/10 away, which is not a bad time at all, a 1:38.221.
can also see some slipstream action already going out into the Parabolica as Frederick Kohlroos follows one of the AMGs, which all look very different. We have a lot of different colors on the grid, which is also very nice to see.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of liveries that have been gained by giveaways, by events and stuff. It's good to see all those people on the track right now. And it really shapes up like a nice colorful grid, as Lino said. For example, Dominic Ladler has a very nice green-yellow livery. There's also Eric Latil with the Mercedes, who's very colorful. And it looks like we're gonna go into the next few laps. Dominic Ladler is on a lap, which we're gonna take a look how quick he's going to be. Dominic Ladler hasn't set a lap time yet. He is quick usually. Is he going to take a potential pole position? Yes, he is. 0.175 seconds ahead.
But that's not as big of a margin as some might expect from the recent RCEs, to be honest.
Yeah.
For sure, maybe a banker lap, but still, looks like it could be a very interesting fight for the top between Ladler, Thunder and Kohlroos. But he also has two drivers who didn't set a lap time.
Oh, and Richard Cicani is really quick, a 1:37.4. I can tell you that is a very quick lap time. That is a very competitive quick lap time. Can Dominic Ladler, Joachim Thunder and Frederick Kohlroos respond to that lap time? It's not quite up there with the times that Nico Nunninghoff could do, but it is on a different level right now, and it's going to be exciting to see how close they can get to his time.
Indeed. Also, always a few new names to the board, or people who haven't been that active in recent times, maybe. I mean, 1 week ago in the RCE event, we had also a pretty new face to the whole ranked system and in general to the more competitive scene, with Kurbanov taking victory in 2 out of the 3 TCR races.
Indeed, and that is great to see new people coming in. You do not know what you can expect from them, and today really is showing someone where we definitely did not expect to see, be there for the pole position. And with a gap, it's a gap. Dominic Ladler did come a little bit closer, but still half a second off. That is quite a margin. Are we gonna see a dominating drive today by Richard Cicani, or is it that he's a very good hot lapper and maybe has a bit more trouble in the race? Dominic Ladler and Joachim Thunder have a bit more experience in the race, I think. So, of course, during the race you need to keep your tires in the right temperature window. Don't overheat them, it's gonna be a long race, 30 minutes race on these tires. And you really need to keep those tires in check, otherwise you're gonna drop your lap times quite significantly. And hot lapping is one of those things where you don't have to look after your tires, where you can just push. And we will see in the race if Richard Cicani can follow up on this qualifying lap time.
Yeah, especially since we have 30-minute races, which is quite the distance. We've done it once in Daytona a couple of weeks ago, if you remember. It wasn't too tricky, I'd say, compared to like a 20-minute race at, for example, Spa. But it's still quite hard to do on a track like Hockenheim, which is very technical, to keep the tires in the working window on this platform at the moment.
Yes, indeed, because as well, like Hockenheim, it's technical, but it also has quite quick turns where you can't really like drive a bit slower, but like be conservative with the tires. You've got, of course, like out of the hairpin, you get a right kink, which is really quick, where you're on the limit of the tires if you want to do it full throttle. If you don't go full throttle there, the guy behind you is going to set up for an overtake. So we will see if some people can put pressure on other drivers and maybe push them into overdriving their tires.
Yeah, I also want to mention Dominic Ladler put down a lap, is only less than 2/10 behind Cicani. Alexander Kralin got into the 1 second behind him. So you have 5 drivers within a second in this qualifying session alone.
Yeah, that is already a much closer like qualifying than I've seen before. And it's good to see that Dominic Ladler is being able to like get close to Richard Xigani's lap time. But can Richard Xigani actually, improve on his own time, or is Dominic Ladler slowly getting into the groove and slowly picking up the pace, which maybe Richard cannot follow up? But we will see, because there is a total of 5 minutes remaining right now. So that means there are only a few laps left where they can put down their quickest lap time they can possibly drive.
I think Xigani already parked it as he's on the map in the pits, so maybe he's just very satisfied with this lap. Also didn't improve on his lap time that much, I think, since he originally set it. Same goes for the 4-car of Alexander Kalin. They both reset the pits.
Yeah.
So
I do not know though, why would you not keep driving? You could even get like into the groove for the long runs. I don't understand why you would stand in the pits right now. But then again, there is 4 minutes remaining, so he still does have time left, and he probably will do another attack. He might just have gone to the pit just to wait to take a breath, to then attack for the last short run.
Indeed, also a possibility. Maybe if you also don't see the chance to really improve on your lap time, as I think he's driving out of the pit.
Yeah,
he's coming out of the
movement
pits,
in the pit, so he is going to do another attack on that pole position lap time. But is it going to be enough this lap time already, maybe, for Dominic Ladler? How on the limit is Dominic Ladler right now? That is something we have to find out. And can Joachim Thunder find time? At least Frederick Kohlroos has found some time and is ahead of Alexander Kralin right now. Only 7 tenths behind Richard Xigani. So this is quite a competitive field right now. Eric Latil in the only sole Mercedes is still ahead of Timothy Fritsch. So he's not actually the last car, so it's not going to be a Mercedes at the bottom end right now. But they are also still close to each other, so that's also going to be a battle between them to see who of them can be quicker. And also the same story goes there. Which one of them is quicker in the race? We know Eric Lettel. It is going to be his first actual race here, so he might be a little bit less experienced. But we will see in the race. Right now, qualifying, there is 2.5 minutes left. In those 2.5 minutes, who is going to do the best lap time? Are they still going to improve, or are they at their limit already?
Joachim Thunder just improved to close to 5 tenths behind Xigani, but also within the 30-second mark. That's also quite remarkable to do. I don't manage to do that all that often, so...
Yeah, don't forget, next week there is going to be an update. So if you want to try out RENNSPORT and the update, next week there is also going to be around the update. There's going to be keys released. So if you want to participate in these kind of events, make sure you're signed up at rennsport.gg, and maybe next week you can get a key and participate in these races. So we are going towards the end of the qualifying. How many laps would they have left? Likely only 1 flying lap. As said, Joachim Thunder did improve, but not significantly enough to actually gain positions with it. But he does still have a chance if he didn't pit, but he is in the pit, so he's not going to do it. So it's Ladder and Xigani on track. And Timothy Fritsch as well, so Fritsch is still going after the lap time of Eric Latil. But it's going to be a showdown between the 2 top drivers right now.
Fritsch across the line.
Actually, yeah, he improved. Only 2 tenths behind Eric Lettel right now, but still not enough. Can he improve on this though? I don't think so, because there's not enough time left.
Gigani into the pits, so he won't finish up this lap. So we have 2 cars still driving. The number 8 of which on the parabolic at the moment, and Dominic Ladler for one final attempt. Now entering the Mercedes arena.
And it's going to be Dominic Ladler attacking Richard Zigani. Is he able to put in like the tiny extra bit? He only needs 171, 0.171 seconds. That is not too much. But can he have a go at the pole position? He is going to the last section, through the stadium. This is going to be very tight. His sector times are very good. Last 2 turns, those are very quick turns. He seems to be stable enough. He's going to the straight, and the finish line is close. And what can he do? 0.071 seconds too slow. That is so close towards the pole position. Wait, or did he get pole position?
He did get pole position.
He did get pole position in the last possible lap. That is insane stuff. That is so close. Less than a tenth between them. Okay, this is going to be interesting. They are so close to qualifying. How are they gonna fare in the race? Definitely the start is going to be very important, because even though you've got that long straight with the hairpin, it's going to be difficult to overtake around here. You need to keep the tires in check, and with so little between them, will they start fighting and maybe get Joachim Thunder into that fight as well? We will see in the race.
Yeah, the race will start in just a minute's time. So currently the people are loading onto the grid, and we will be with you on the grid soon for a 30-minute sprint race. And as you already said in the beginning of the qualifying session, it will be a lot about how to keep your tires clean. But of course, for this race, we will also have not your usual start, because we will have a rolling start. So we see them entering grid formation now, slowly after one another.
Indeed, and here is the start of the race. It is Dominic Ladder in pole position. They are not really lined up correctly, but it doesn't matter. They are off right now. And it looks like it's very quite a decent start, but not good enough through turn 1. They are side by side going through the first long braking zone, and it looks like it's Richard Zigani who is taking the lead of the race. That is very interesting to see. Can Dominic Ladler retaliate and actually gain back that position, or is he going to be under pressure from Joachim Tanner and Alexander Kralin, who are right behind him as well? Oh, it's Richard Zigani is going defensive. He is feeling the pressure.
But Dominic Ladder trying to go down under, but can't quite make it because Zigani just blocks him out of the apex there.
Indeed, that is very good driving. And as I said, Ladler is under pressure now from Joachim Thunder. Joachim Thunder right through the kink. He is right on his bumper. No space in between. Dominic Ladler is not allowed to make a single mistake. And is this actually going to put him under pressure so much that he's going to lose contact to Richard Zigani? Still, it is going to be a long race, as we said. So it is possible that Richard Zigani is actually overheating his tires right now. But we will see towards the more towards the second half of the race what times drivers are going to set and who kept the tires alive the best. But right now it looks like Richard Zigani has the upper hand right in front of Dominic Ladler, who again pulled up a gap of 1 second to Joachim Thunder, with Alexander Kralin following right behind him.
But Timothy Fritsch also with quite a good start, I think. I mean, he was in the second group of cars, so a bit further behind on the start. But it looks like he's slowly catching up to the cars in front, Alexander Kralin and Joachim Thunder. Or he's at least going with them in terms of pace.
Indeed, it looks like Frederick Colruyt actually made a mistake somewhere. At Timothy Fritsch, as you said, very good start to gain 2 positions up to P5. For the rest, it is going to settle down right now a little bit. That is something we often see in these kind of races. People are right now gonna care about their tires. It doesn't look like RYZEK is like running away too hard currently. So it is going to be interesting to keep an eye on the lap times, on the intervals, and see how everyone is faring with the tires. Towards the back, it is Eric Lattil and Frederick Colruyt who are actually quite close to each other. I mean, I've got so much respect for Eric Lattil to choose a Mercedes. Yeah, people like the Porsche a lot, but that Mercedes is a different beast. And if you can drive that thing, if it suits you, you can be really quick with it. You are just as competitive with any car here because of the balance of performance that these cars have.
Yeah, it's really about what fits your driving style best, and all the 4 cars that we currently have in RENNSPORT in the GT3 class offer very different characteristics. Because, of course, the Porsche, the very iconic rear engine layout, which gives you a very rear drive out of turns, but is notorious for being quite understeery through a corner. You have the R8 with its mid-engine layout, which is quite twitchy. You have to control it quite right through the corners, but it has the same benefits of the Porsche with less understeer. So it's a very different kind of driving, but it kind of aims for the same driving style. And then you, of course, have the BMW and the Mercedes, and the Mercedes, of course, being not only front engine, but front mid-engine. So the engine is very far back, which you can also very well see on the car as...
and that gives also... Oh, there is contact, and Eric Lattil spins and actually resigns. He does not finish this race. Such a shame. He might have overheated his tires a little bit. Maybe put his traction control a little bit too low. And at the exit of the hairpin, he just lost it and gets tagged by Frederick Colruyt, who could not avoid him. Frederick Colruyt lost a lot of time with that though. So Timothy Fritsch is clear ahead of him. Actually, Timothy Fritsch is not too far behind P4. He's not like totally lost. So there is still a possibility, if the other drivers start struggling with their tires, that he can come back in this game.
And he's also slowly gaining on him, if I see that correctly. Sometimes losing a bit of ground, but then making up for it. Because the interval times are, of course, all in relative to the leader. So that's why the gap seems to be growing all the time, but actually it is shrinking if you compare the lap times from Carlin to Fritsch.
Indeed, if you do some live math, there's right now 4.3 seconds between them. But right now it looks actually like Alexander Kralin is holding up the pace. Maybe Alexander Kralin made a small mistake. But also, Alexander Kralin is also closing in on Joachim Thunder. They are still quite close to each other, so that could also play parts. You are in someone else's draft, and that means you will have less downforce, which means you can slide a little bit more. That's easier to make a mistake, easier to overheat your tires. So it is really interesting to see what these gaps are gonna keep doing. Right now, Dominic Latler does seem like he is losing, like, time to RYZEK, but not too much per lap. But over 4 laps right now, it is like risen to like 2.7, 2.8 seconds. That is in between them, so RYZEK can really look after his tires right now and drive his own race. Dominic Latler has 1.2 seconds towards Joachim Thunder, like 1.4. Somewhere around there, so he is not directly under pressure, but he cannot make a single mistake or he will have Joachim Thunder right up his bumper. But the same goes for Joachim Thunder with Alexander Kralin right behind him. There are 7 minutes have passed in this race, so this means there's still 23 minutes left. That is a long time. It could be that people are saving tires and thus losing a little bit of time towards the guy in front, and it will be able... It is totally possible that it switches around later on.
Indeed. Also, just a little fun fact on the side, Dominic Ladler has been part of the community events, I think, since the beginning. He also joined the first event in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. But so far he came in second quite often, so maybe he wants to change that luck around. would be in his
It
interest.
is quite sad that every single time he participates, there's just one guy quicker than him, and it's a different guy every single
Yeah.
time. But he's really quick. Don't get me wrong, Dominic Ladler is quick. He does deserve a win at some point, but he really will need to fight for it.
He did finish on the podium on each and every event so far, though. And he's
That is
the
an
only driver
amazing
to do so.
statistic. Yeah, that is a really good statistic. That also shows how consistent he is. So it is possible that he's just driving consistent lap times right now, and maybe Xigani is overheating tires, but it doesn't look like Xigani is gonna slow down anytime soon.
I mean, in the end, it also comes down to doing one single mistake at the wrong time. You can preserve tires for a very long time. You do one mistake and they're cooked for a couple of laps. And then not only do you lose the time due to the spin, but also afterwards because you can't go the pace you would normally do.
Indeed, usually it will take a few turns indeed before you can cool the tires down. And right now, how it is right now, it is really hard to do. I mean, it's gonna be interesting because Rizek Zagani might be quicker right now, but as you said, if he makes a mistake, his tires will, overheat, and he will need time to cool them down. Maybe Dominic Ladler is taking a little bit less risk, and with that, less risk of making that mistake. But as of now, it is a very solid race for Rizek Zagani. I will have to be honest. That's like, he came out of nowhere pretty much. I didn't know who he was, and he's really showing himself right now who he is.
Well, what a way to enter a competition, I guess.
Indeed, that's like the best way. Like, leading is already one thing, and if he can win this, he really puts a stamp. Like, Nico Nuningov, try beat him.
Well, there's also Kovanov here to worry about,
Hey,
who
Kovanov.
also pretty much showed himself the same way last week, so let's see, this might end up very interesting if you have a couple of them together on one track, and in that case, if they start fighting, Ladler, Alex Ember, Joachim Thunder will be right in the mix, I can guarantee you that.
Indeed, it looks like Dominic Ladler is actually starting to stabilize the gap to Rizek Zagani. As I said, this could be actually a turnaround. This is going to be interesting.
I've got 1/3 of the race completed. So now it will start to be interesting. We are approaching what would be a normal sprint race in the ranked calendar. And yeah, just double the distance and do it again half the distance. So
Indeed. So as I said, it is like everyone is settling in right now. So you don't really want to fight at this stage. You just want to do your own lap times. Don't make any mistakes. Don't overheat your tires. And it seems like they all are doing that. So yeah.
But while everyone's settled into doing their lap time, finding their rhythm and preserving tires, we may have 1 or 2 minutes to spare to tell you about this league and how it will continue after this race. And we've got a little infographic for you. And this is the calendar we will use for the season. All races on 8 p.m. CET, or once the time zone switched to CEST. And of course today, on the 22nd of March, we are driving at Hockenheim, and in 2 weeks' time we will go to the Nürburgring, and in between of each Ranked Community League race is a Ranked Community event. So each week from now on Friday 8 p.m, you will have an official broadcasted event on this channel. If you're watching on the Krystall production channels, on the RENNSPORT Twitch channels as well. So make sure to stay tuned, join the Discord down below for more information on the leagues. And do you want to add something?
I mean, if you come to the Discord, there's enough people talking about RENNSPORT, asking stuff about RENNSPORT. So, of course, we also had like the talking session, which is now renamed, and there's a lot of information there which people talk about. And someone had a spin. Who is that?
I think
Is that Timothy
is
Fridge?
should be Fridge.
Yep, it is Timothy Fridge. Such a shame. At this point, it is going to start to get difficult with the tires. So he definitely will have to drive a little bit slower right now. It looks like Frederick Colruyt also resigned. He might have made a mistake somewhere, overheated his tires maybe. Maybe it's a little bit more difficult than he thought it was. But you know, Timothy Fridge, if he can keep on driving, he will get a very beautiful 5th place here.
Yeah, indeed. And if you can finish the 30-minute race, that's also a lot of experience you gain. Because right now, it is quite tricky to do so. But of course, in 1 week's time, we will have an update to the game. And things may change from there on. So stay tuned for that. But for now, it's what the drivers have to fight with. And it's the same situation for everyone, basically.
Indeed. And that situation looks like Richard Zagani has got under control because he's starting to grow that gap again towards Dominic Lattler. Dominic Lattler still only has a 1 second gap, even less to Joachim Thunder. Joachim Thunder really showing how consistent he is. Because I have not seen Joachim Thunder like really fall back a lot towards Dominic Lattler. He just stays behind him. Probably preserving tires, but it's just insane how consistent he is.
Indeed, but also Ladler and Thunder, I suspect it might be more interesting in, let's say, the last 10 minutes. We are nearly approaching halfway of the race distance. But the gap between Shigani and Ladler didn't increase really, and Joachim Thunder is just keeping up with Ladler, always keeping it within the seconds. So, as you mentioned earlier, not to have the dirty air problem, to keep the tires in check as well. It might come down to the end due to the experience Thunder and Ladler have in this game at this point. They've driven a lot of races. Of course, Joachim Thunder having his own league on Wednesdays, the TRL Weekly League.
Shall I give you a little bit of interesting information on the lap times of Joachim Thunder? He drove in lap 5 at 1:38.5. Lap 6 and 7 were 38.7, lap 8 at 38.8. The times are slowly dropping. Last lap he did 39.0, but it's consistently dropping. It's insane how consistent that is with these tires.
Maybe interesting to see how it compares to Shigani though, because sometimes Ladler is just creeping in on him slightly and other times just staying a consistent gap.
I mean, I've got the times of Richard Zagani, and it is a little bit more all over the place, because he did a 1:38.7 in lap 6, 2 38.4s, those were like the push laps he did, and then a 38.8 again. So it's not like he's massively quicker, but he's out of nowhere can do like 2 push laps and like raise that gap. Like, it's really insane how he manages to do that.
Hey, also, made a very good start to the race. He used set up himself for a move to Dominic Ladler in turn 1, which you don't really see in Hockenheim that often because of the nature of the turn. It's getting quite tight through it. And he just went for the undercut and accelerated out of turn 1, got him into turn 2, and that was him flying by.
Indeed. I'm going through the lap times a little bit more. I'm looking at Dominic Ladler right now. He has, in lap 7 and lap 10, 2 red times. That means he is gaining incident points. If you get too many incident points, you will get a drive-through. So it is something Dominic Ladler has to keep an eye on, because it's still 13 minutes left in this race. If you gain too many of them, it's pretty much race over and you're towards the back of the grid. Although he might still end up in front of Timothy Fridge if he does it. But still, it is something to watch out for. But his lap times are also 38.7, 39.1, 38.6, 38.9. It's a bit more over the place, but he still can do those quick lap times, like in lap 9.
Indeed, and also Alexander Qualin is just silently keeping up with the 2 cars in front. He's not gaining, but he's also not losing all too much time. So if there was a situation where either one of the two guys in front do a mistake or get a penalty, as you said, he will be the one profiting and stepping up onto the podium.
I will tell a little secret. Last lap, Alexander Kralin was the quickest driver on track.
And that is even more interesting.
So there is around 12 minutes remaining. Although things have settled down, it looks like the tire life is going to get into play here right now. And people are starting to get a little bit less consistent. This time around, Alexander Kralin actually didn't do as well. But still, he was still quicker than Joachim Thunder. By about 4/10 even. In the up ahead, in the lead, there is pretty much no time difference between them. They are driving the same lap time, which is quite amazing from Dominic Lattler, because Richard Zagani really showed how quick he was. As you said, Richard Zagani capitalized on the first lap, pulled out a gap, and he is picking the fruits from that.
Indeed, let's also not forget, it's still longer than most of the races we run at RENNSPORT, because the feature races feature a 25-minute race. And 5 minutes after those 25 minutes are more tricky than 5 minutes in front of the race, let's say. But Joachim Thunder and I think also Lala and Kralin did a lot of the longer races. So they have a lot of experience on how the tire drop-off behaves. And maybe this is what can kick in from now on. We've approached 20 minutes now in a couple of seconds. Might be coming down in the end to the wire because Dominic Lala is slowly creeping in.
I mean, I did see Richard Zagani make a little bit of a mistake coming out of one of the turns, a little bit of oversteers, probably on traction control off. That is quicker, but it's also more risky. It overheats the rear tires more. If you make a mistake and go on the throttle too early, you will actually oversteer quite significantly. And as you can see, he is really pushing. He actually was really close to a track cut there. The last lap he did it 39.1, which actually 2 38.7s in a row from Dominic Lattler, so he is gaining there. Even Joachim Thunder is quicker than the leader last lap. Only Alexander Kralin seems like he is dropping back. He probably has pushed a little bit to get a bit closer and right now has overheated his tires. But, I mean, he's still in this race if people start fighting and start making mistakes.
Yeah, the gap has come down to 3.6 seconds. It started out this lap with 4.1. So it's only already 4/10 gained, even though he now seems to have lost a bit.
But right now, the question is also gonna be, how many laps do they have left and how much time does he need to gain per lap to actually get to Richard Zagani? Because
also, what does it take to get past?
Indeed, because as I said, it might have a long straight with a hairpin, which should give you a very good overtaking opportunity. The rest of the track is really hard to follow and really hard to overtake at. So there are 8.5 minutes remaining, something around that. And that will probably be around, what do I think? 4 laps? Something, I think it's 4 laps if my my quick math that I do is correct. And if that's 4 laps, that's almost a second a lap. He is not going to do that in my eyes.
It's hard to tell, to be honest, because the tire drop-off, depending on how Zagani played with his cards, the tire drop-off could be getting much worse over the coming laps and you lose more and more time. It's basically an exponential function in terms of how you lose lap times.
Indeed. And it looks like he is... I mean, I'm watching Richard Zagani drive right now, and he is quite stable. He isn't sliding like I saw him do a few laps ago. This probably means he is probably understanding that his tires will overheat if you push them too hard. and he is actually trying to cool them down again. This will lose a little bit of time, but he might be able to gain a little bit later on, which it looks like he's already doing.
Indeed, the gap is increasing, and that might also explain why he was this cautious at times during like the 15 to 18 minute mark with turning in, and that's why Ladler could gain 1 or 2/10 of a second per turn.
Indeed, I think RipJaws has got this. If he doesn't make a mistake, he's got the tires under control, he will absolutely win this. He did do like a red lap time in lap 13, but I haven't seen him do many of them, so he will likely also not be as close as, for example, Dominic Ladler, who has also done another red lap time, which means that he might actually get close to a drive-through.
But Alexander Kralin, meanwhile, 1.8 seconds to Joachim Thunder. Maybe he can get close. Even though 1.8 seconds is quite the margin still to go for, but...
Yeah, he only gained 1/10 of a second last lap. So if he really wants to make inroads, he really needs to, you know, be half a second lap quicker right now, because 1.6 seconds getting there is one thing, but passing is another, and you need time to pass, you know. And like this, if it's only 1/10 of a difference, next lap it might be like 1/10 the other way, so that you will not like gain enough time if this happens, if it stays like this.
And we are approaching the last 5 minutes of this, so could be right with what you figured out in terms of lap count. Might be getting a bit close with when Shigani crosses the line.
It looks like Timothy Fritsch has either made a mistake or had to do a drive-through, but he's being caught right now.
Indeed, looked like he kind of came off the pits because he was to the far right on the approach to turn 2.
Indeed. It looks like everything will go alright with lapping drivers right now. It's only Timothy Fritsch which they are lapping. So, 4.5 minutes. I really don't think we're gonna see any change for position anymore. I think everyone has got their, got the tires straight. As I said, Dominic Ladler, Joachim Thunder, and Alexander Kralin are experienced drivers in RENNSPORT. RipJaws really looks like he has it together as well. So they will probably not get like baited by trying to go for a quicker lap time and then overheat the tires. It looks like, looking at the intervals, everything seems quite stable. And it's still really insane how consistent some of those times are. They're still around the 1:39.0 mark. Actually, Joachim Thunder is going for 2:38.9s in a row. That's like less than a tenth in between them. Like, there was 15 thousandths of a second in between his lap time. So that's how good he is at like driving consistently, not making any mistakes, which is really important in these kind of races, definitely if they are longer.
Yeah, consistency is key. It's not just something that people say for, speaking fancy words, but it's actually a big thing in racing as a whole. Even in shorter sprint races, consistency can give you a lot of time because it also gives you a lot of confidence. And with confidence, you naturally gain speed over time.
Exactly. What I actually have a lot of the times is that I'm quick in a race and in the qualifying, simply because I'm getting used to like how consistent I can drive, and I get used to how the car behaves. Whilst in qualifying, you just do one lap and you just hope it sticks, and I'm just much better in long runs because I know how the car feels. Just a confidence factor.
Yeah, indeed, and it looks like we will have 2 laps after this one. in terms of finishing this race. 3 minutes to go.
Don't forget, they're in lap 17. That is quite hard on Hockenheim, with all these turns going from one to the other, only one really long straight to cool them down. And they are managing it. That is like really top-notch stuff you are seeing here. That's like skill.
That's a good word to describe it, actually. Let's call it skill for now. But yeah, indeed, as you say, especially with the consistency you mentioned before of Joachim Thunder, that is a remarkable skill that you gain from a lot of driving time and experience, and which is also very different from platform to platform.
Yeah, it looks like Dominic Lathar is the least consistent out of all of them, but he's putting down such quick lap times in between that it doesn't really seem to matter. There's only 1.5 seconds in between them though, between Dominic Lathar and Joachim Thunder, but as long as Dominic Lathar can push out like a good lap and not make a mistake, because he has put down in lap 16 at 39.9. That is the slowest I've seen in a very long while. And actually, is Joachim Thunder gaining? He is definitely gaining, but is it going to be enough, or is it too little too late? This is actually going to be quite interesting.
All comes down to doing one mistake and being out of rhythm in the end. And we will have 1 lap left, because Shigani will cross the line before the 30-minute mark.
Indeed.
So, 1.4 seconds the gap. He needs a lot of luck that Ladler puts his foot wrong, which I don't really suspect he will do.
No, it's Dominic Lathar. He has experience. He knows, definitely, since it's the last lap, he knows himself if he doesn't make a mistake. He can be half a second slower this lap, and it doesn't matter. So I don't expect him to go pushing right now for a quick lap or anything. His first sector, though, a 20.7. That is quicker than his lap 50 was, which was 39.2. And right now, driving below a 39 is quick.
Indeed, and let's not forget, this is the first out of 6 races that count towards a championship, with points allocated being on driver splits, basically. So in this case, we have 1 split, but if we had multiple driver splits, the drivers would get points accordingly. And they will total up over those 6 races, and at the end, you will have a Season 1 champion determined. And this is the first step to getting this crown.
Indeed. So right now, it is going to be Richard Sagane who is probably going to win this. Unless it all goes wrong right here. Which I don't expect it's going to be. He's going into the stadium section, into the last 3 turns. So a triple right-hander, 2 more left, and he keeps it nice and tidy. And he can right now celebrate the winner of the first of the 6 races. And he has finished now. He can celebrate. It was a beautiful race. It was a tough race. So it's Richard Sagani in front of Dominic Lathar, with Joachim Thunder right behind him. Alexander Kraling has finished in 4th, which means Timothy Fritsch will finish in 5th. 1 lap behind, but still, he actually 19 laps. The others drove 20. That is a very long race with these cars right now. And it's just beautiful to see what they have managed to do with this. Maybe not too many fights, but in the start, we really saw that they could fight. And after that, it was a very strategic race. And we've seen some strategy. For Joachim Thunder, the strategy came a little bit too late. But still, a beautiful drive from him as well.
Yeah, indeed. As said previously, we will have more races coming in this format. The next one will be in 2 weeks at the Nürburgring, which is also quite tricky on the tires. And yeah, maybe be a bit more of a challenge actually than Hockenheim already is. Or what do you think?
I think there's also going to be an update next week, so don't forget to sign up at RENNSPORT.gg, and you might be able to try these cars out for yourself. There's going to be a Mission R at Goodwood, which you can do time trials on. And of course, the GT3 races are going to continue, the leagues. The community events are going to continue. There are still like the TRL, which is running every Wednesday. Get on the Discord server, start talking about this, and I really hope to see more drives on the grid. It doesn't matter if you're quick, doesn't matter if you're slow. As long as you're having fun, we've seen some fun driving today, and I mean it's gonna be great. Definitely after the update.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm really looking forward to this. And we also have one more announcement to do because, of course, next week we'll have a RENNSPORT community event, which is already known, which is it, but we still have a trailer for it. So you enjoy, and we say goodbye for tonight. And
Goodbye.
see you next time. Goodbye.